Welcome everyone. Welcome to the second day of our forum, Women Leaders in the Mexico-United States Context, organized by Education USA Mexico. Before we start, please notice that on your screen, you can choose to listen to our event in English or Spanish. You just have to click on the interpretation button and choose the language that you prefer. Also, if you have any questions for our speakers today, make sure that you use the Q&A feature, and we will have some time at the end to review your questions. So, well, welcome again. My name is Edith Melendez. I am the Education USA Advisor for San Luis Potosí and Querétaro, and I will be conducting today's event. This week, we celebrate the contributions and achievements of women leaders. Our conferences and conversations will allow you to learn about the opportunities and challenges of different women and learn how the relationship between Mexico and the United States can promote your professional development. Today's conference, our first conference will be Technology and Innovation to Gender Equality. And before I introduce our guest speaker, I would like to mention what is Education USA and what we do for the ones that don't know us. Let me tell you that we are a United States Department of State network of over 430 international student advising centers. And we are present in more than 175 countries and different territories. Our network promotes U.S. higher education to students around the world by offering accurate, comprehensive, and current information about the different opportunities available for you to study in different American universities. We are your official source of higher education. So whether you are planning to pursue a short-term degree or a full-term degree program in the United States, you can come to us and we will be very happy and very glad to help you to reach your goal. Education USA has all of the resources that you need for you to apply to these institutions. And we divide them into 5 different steps. We call them your 5 steps to the United States study. You can learn more about all of these 5 steps at educationusa.state.gov. Well, as I already mentioned, our conference today is Technology and Innovation to Gender Equality. Today, I would like to introduce our speaker, Fernanda Gomez Valderas. She's a Harvard University alumna and Fulbright Garcia Robles former grantee. Fernanda is a Fulbright Garcia Robles alumna from Harvard Law School, where that is where she earned her LLM, focusing on law, science, and technology at Harvard. There, she worked at the Cyber Clinic of the Bergman Klein Center for Internet and Society, furthering her expertise in digital rights, public policy, and digital gender violence. She has a bachelor's degree in law from the Center for Economic Research and Teaching in Mexico, and followed different law courses at Georgetown University and McGill University. She has also worked at the Mexican judiciary at the Supreme Court's General Directorate of Human Rights. There, she co-authored the protocol for judging with gender's perspective. She is now head of the Gender Equality Unit and contributes to work in the mainstreaming of the gender perspective in the judicial and administrative work of the Supreme Court. Well, she has different areas of interest, which include feminist legal theory, data privacy, algorithm discrimination, free speech, and content moderation. Welcome, Fernanda. It is a pleasure to have you with us today, and well, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Edith, for this wonderful introduction. And I'd also like to thank you, Yandy, who I know that she's here, for the invitation, and of course, to all the people who work at Education USA at Mexico and at the at Comexus. Today, I would like to focus my presentation on 4 main topics, which I will try to be brief. Each of them could be like an entire course at a university, but I'll try to be very brief. Please, if you have like any questions, just submit them through the Q&A section, and I'll try to combine them as I expose, or otherwise at the end of my presentation, I'll be happy to answer them. So today, one of the topics that I will be talking about, it's the digital gap following online violence, also girls and women in STEM, the use of artificial intelligence, and what does it mean data feminism, and the feminist internet. So to start with the digital gap, we need to understand that even though that we think that nowadays people in all the world can access the internet, can have an email, or can communicate with whoever they want, that it's not possible, not even here in Mexico. This gap is also followed on a gender basis. It has also like a gender basis area. Why? Some women and some girls do not have access to digital technologies, to internet, and in some cases, even though that they do have, I don't know, like a cell phone or a computer, they also navigate on the internet differently than some men or boys will do. This has to do also with how the internet has been built, how the internet is, what contents it offers, and also with what we are supposed to consume. What are girls supposed to see? What are women supposed to watch on the internet? And you'll find it surprisingly, but in most of the world, women only focus on maybe social media and other kind of contents, but it's what men see on the internet, it's wider than what women do, just because of what they might be interested in. But this is also part of how we have framed the stereotypes, how we have built these roles based on the gender and sex of the people. When we think about the digital gap, we also need to think about the digital education. Even though that some, the people who were born after the 2000s they usually tend to say that they already like know how to work on an iPad or how to click on a cell phone. But digital education, it's not only like learning how to use these tools, but also like how to protect ourselves, how to not be victims of phishing or scam, and what also entitles being able like to actually learning what it's out there. For example, like using technologies in order like to study a degree or to take a course, or using technologies in order to work remotely. So what we need is definitely investment, both from the state and private entities, in order to have, firstly, like the necessary infrastructure, because even though that like in the cities this might not be a problem, let's think about like rural areas where we have seen this. For example, during the pandemic in Mexico, the education authorities changed the way that classes were being dictated, and a lot of people who were not living in the cities and who lacked access to internet and other services were really affected, well, especially like the kids were really affected with the pandemic because they could not just study properly, or a family would have like 3 or 4 children and they would only have like one cell phone in order to access internet. And of course, I'm not talking only about costs, but like the fact that there was no signal in their area in order to take these courses. So we need investment, we need state and private entities to work together to finish with this lack of access to ICT. In Mexico, we have like this right to access digital technologies in our constitution. So even though that the right is there, like written on paper, it should be guaranteed and people should be able like to exercise it. Um, the digital gap also is important when we talk about working remotely. For instance, there were some people like myself and others who work at a properly established office where you can have like laptops or other devices that you could actually take at home and like work from there without the need like to work at a specific space, or your office. But there were some other works, some other jobs that require people to be there, otherwise they couldn't perform it. And I'm talking about not only like most of the informal work, for example, but also like women whose work is to clean houses, or I'm talking about people who sell food, fruits at the market. Those people could not easily like perform their jobs from their home. But also the idea of having technologies forces us to change how we interact with other people. For example, the people who could be working at a market started thinking, well, maybe I can call my clients and tell them that if they are not able like to come to the market, I can take whatever they want like weekly to sell them and to take those products to their homes. So we also need to think like how the digital gap has affected the remote work, and not only education. Something that is really important is that the digital gap also increases other gaps that have to do with gender discrimination. For example, it affects education, it affects economics, and other areas that what it results in is that we cannot close the gap. So we need to work in all these areas in order to have a better society, like an equal society. And also when we think about digital products or designing products, we need to do it with and for women and girls, because as I'm gonna talk later on when I develop the how algorithmic discrimination, we need to consider that the diversity that we have, and not only focus on a specific group with certain characteristics. Now I'm gonna move on the second topic, which is I'll do it very brief, which is online violence. So when we think about the internet, the problem with online violence is that it doesn't disappear, even though that you turn off your devices, that you erase your accounts, or that you stop talking to the people you usually interact with when you are on social media. Online violence, it's a reproduction of offline violence, the violence that has existed since long time ago. And something really important is that like this disproportionate effect that sexual violence has on women offline, it also happens online. In Mexico, there's I don't remember exactly well the name of the entire poll, but it's part of the INEGI. I think that it's the ENDIRE, ENDIREH, from 2016, which states that when you analyze the ways people have been affected by violence online, or what have they suffered, when you look at who has been suffering the kind of violence that is related to sexual violence, like it's statistically significant the way women have been affected by this, as opposed to how many men have been affected. So when we think about online violence, we also need to think about the social responsibility that we have in order to tackle this, but also the content moderation and intermediary liability systems or principles that these platforms should consider when trying to deal with online violence. And when I mean content moderation, like a very good example of this will be whether Twitter or Facebook or Instagram takes down a post or a comment or even a profile based on, for example, like sexual harassment, or based on whether you were sharing or not a non-consensual private sexual image. So it's not only like we as people trying to build bridges and to stop hate, but also like how are companies acting in a way that it doesn't cause a chilling effect and people start like participating less, or that they will be taking down more content that they were supposed to, just because they are trying like to abide with this like higher standard. Now, talking about girls and women in STEM. So when we think about this, we need to focus on access to education. In a lot of countries, and also in Mexico, we have the problem that children who are in different areas have problems like to study like even basic education, because their parents might need them in order to work with them on the family business, or maybe because girls are still marriage against their will. So we need to think about how to grant access to education, how to make and motivate women, well, girls, in order to continue their studies, and how can we help also families in order to make sure that they do not sacrifice like the family business or whatever in order like to allow their children to participate in educational activities, and also allow them to study a higher degree. The problem with girls and women in STEM is that there's a huge underrepresentation. In Mexico, I think that 3 out of 10 people that study STEM are women. We're talking about like the 30% approximately of the people who are in these areas are only women. We need to keep motivating our children, especially girls, because we didn't. Last week we have like this conversation at the court, and one of the panelists, Elena Estavillo, mentioned that we must not stick like to stereotypes, that it's not that girls are bad for math, or it's not that girls do not like science. They do like science. So what we need to do is like beat these stereotypes about what girls want, or what girls are good for, and instead like try to keep motivating them and like create these safe spaces in order for them to participate actively. We also need to think about all the activities that we do. We must perform them from an intersectionality approach that allows us to recognize biases and to embrace diversity. we need to think about role models and to build channels in order to have networking. For example, I know that at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, they do what are called like hackathons, which are like these meetings for people in order maybe like to like create some projects in just one day, and they will be like working in different teams. And what I heard from them is that they can do them like on weekends or during weekdays, but they wanted to make sure that um, the date they chose, like people were available to go, but also like for women who had children, that they had like a care station in order where to leave their children, so they could actually like participate in these activities, and instead of like leaving women aside because of their care work. Another thing that it's important is that more presence of girls and women in STEM is needed. Also, not only like to motivate and to have role models, but also to continue closing the gender pay gap. It's true also that even not even women are underrepresented on this area, but also they are being paid less. Um, this is part mostly of the institutions, like the private institutions, and the people who actually have the power like to hire them and tell them that their work is worth the same as their male colleagues, and also that they are going to be paid the same as other person who is doing exactly the same job. Some women have the idea also that those who are actually like in good positions, they have like this responsibility of giving back and um, giving back to the community. I think that this is like really important because people who have not dealt with these obstacles are not going to be able to identify them and do something about them. So as long as we can, we should consider giving back to the communities. We can like give a free talk or create like a group with some other colleagues in order like to organize monthly sessions with girls from a high school. I don't know, like we can find like different ways to give back, but this is definitely something that we should not leave aside. And in order, well, just to finish, like two other points that I would like to place on the table would be like improving employment conditions, especially like for women, and this means mainstreaming and institutionalizing the gender perspective. And in order to have like better care work policies, so women that are in these areas, but not only on science, technology, and math, but also like in any other area that have the a way like to deal with their personal life and family life along with work, and this does not represent a problem for them, or that the people who hire them, who employ them, will be like, oh, I cannot give you a promotion because you are a mom, or I cannot do this because you need to go like for your kid at 3 p.m. in order like to take him or her to your home. It's like institutions need to change the care work policies, need to have maternity licenses that or that allow women to find like this place that it's good, like in order to fight for gender equality, and also like stop thinking again that it's women's responsibility only and not men to care for children and other people other members of the family. Now, I'm going to move to the fourth topic, which is the use of artificial intelligence. When we talk about artificial intelligence and algorithms, we need to think about them about tools. And I know that it might sound like really abstract, or that it has to do like all with numbers. But in order to make my point, I'd like to explain you like what is an algorithm, or what's like an algorithmic model. So when you want to like solve a problem, let's say design a tool in order to identify whether an image shows a frog or shows a mouse. First, you need to obtain the data. Next, you need to clean it. Then you represent it on your model. And after that, you feed the model. So you'll do this once or twice. What you need to do is like train your algorithm with this information that you previously had. And after that, the algorithm is going to be able like to start making predictions. So let's say that you have a lot of pictures of frogs and some other pictures of mice. You'll clean that information and you'll fit the model with them. You'll make like different tests, and then just to guarantee that when there's like a new picture of a frog that you didn't feed the model with, the model will actually identify it as a frog. So it doesn't sound like that bad, but when you start like building more complex models, it might not turn out as good as you thought. So algorithms are used for automated decision making. Let's say that you apply like for a loan, and the bank will run its model with algorithms, and automatically it will say that your loan was approved or your loan was denied based on the information that it was placed on the form or fed into the database. So that's an automated decision because there was like no person involved, and like the final result, it's like a yes or no. And the problem with this is that some people would say that there was like a black box, because we don't know like which elements were considered apart from the information we gave, and we ignore if my height or my skin color was considered, and if so, like how it affected the final decision. The problem also with some models is that they use like this idea of like one size fits all, and this also has to do with how technology has been built, which people have been involved in designing all these products, and most of the teams have been men, most of them white men, and most of them also heterosexual men. So it's like as if everything that is being designed is just being designed by these people for other people like them. And that's when we start having problems with the design. We start identifying biases which lead to discrimination. I'll give a few examples about this. For example, hiring practices. There was a case, like I don't remember exactly how many years ago, but like less than 6 years ago, that it involved Amazon, and they were using an algorithm. And I must say that this is not only like an Amazon practice, but some other entities use this kind of algorithm. So they have like these vacancies, and they will be like calling for people to apply, and they will receive like thousands of CVs and profiles. And because they do not have the capacity, they will feed the algorithm with all this information from the CVs, and that's the way they will choose the people they will be interviewing for the position. And after that, like try to follow the process. So the problem with Amazon was that the algorithm will be like looking to find profiles of people that were similar to the ones that were already working at the company. And the problem with that is that most of them were men. So the people who were applying that were women. They did not have the same chances of even getting an interview because maybe of the name, or because of I don't know, the university they went to. So this is not something, of course, that the designers or the engineers plan to do, but that's how the results went once you fed the algorithm, because they never thought about like, oh, we need to balance these, or we just cannot take this category because it prevents women from being part of our processes. It was just like they never thought about it. Another example of this will be picture classification. There's this situation with Google Photos that happened some years ago, that they classify. So Google Photos, was what it does, it will classify your pictures like Fernanda's birthday, or like commencement, Christmas. But also it will classify the pictures based on pets, or like people you usually take pictures with. So what the picture classification algorithm did was tag or classify some pictures of a friend of the person who was like denouncing the situation, as if it was a gorilla. And what happened, that the friend was an Afro-American man. So of course he wasn't a gorilla, but like the way the algorithm was fed, it made the algorithm state that because of the color of his skin, he was a gorilla. So we have like some other examples with this, with facial recognition. The problem with facial recognition is that it's mostly accurate only for white men, but when we think it's not as accurate for Black people, and inside that, it's less accurate for Black women. We also have the problem with some people who thought that it was possible to identify sexual orientation with facial recognition, which I tell you, it's not possible, because that's something inside of the person. And it also has problems when trying to identify, for example, the same with facial recognition, transgender people, because they just do not fit like the features that the algorithm is expecting based on stereotypes. And there was another model which was used in order to identify child abuse. It predicted whether a child was being abused or not, and based on that, they will call, I forgot the name of the entity, but they will call them like into foster care. So there's a very good book on this, name Automatic Inequality, from Virginia Eubanks, where you can find like more about this prediction model, which was, I think it was used in California. So what we need to do with the use of AI is, again, call for diversity and pluralism, involve multi-stakeholders, not just white heterosexual men, and identify the problems with the algorithms and propose solutions. Once you identify that something is not working, please change it as possible. And to finish, I'll talk about data feminism and feminist principles of the internet. So I'm running a little bit of time, so I'll try to be brief. First, which are the 7 principles of data feminism? The first thing to know before entering the principle is that data is power. So what we need to do is examine power, challenge power, elevate the emotion and embodiment, rethink binaries and hierarchies. And that's that has to do with the idea that we must not think about like black and white or women, men. There are more categories in between. We need to embrace pluralism, and we need to consider context and make labor visible. And talking about the principles itself, the UNICEF has a gender tech toolkit, which is mostly focused on girls and access to digital technologies, which I suggest you should take a look at it. But what we think about the internet is that there's not only one internet, but we need to have like a feminist internet, which entails no sexism, no exploitation, no disparities, and no misogyny. We need to stop reproducing offline problems in the digital space. And we need to make it like a safe space for everybody. That's what basically like what a feminist internet calls for. In 2014, the IPC you organized like this meeting with different NGOs from around the world in order to think about how to build a feminist internet, and they came with 5 clusters, which are 17 principles, which divide into 5 clusters. So the first of it will be access, movement, economy, expression, and embodiment. And some of these 17 principles that I like to highlight will be access to the internet, information, and use of technology. We need to use it as a movement building. We need to think about internet governance and decision making, like who is the one taking these decisions about content moderation, or like who has access to what. We need to rethink the way we fight against violence. We need to amplify the feminist expression. We need to protect anonymity. We need to call for consent. We also need to create safe spaces for children, to think about memory, and to guarantee privacy of everything that is done on the internet, and stop harassing people for the way they navigate. Just to finish, I'll also like to invite you, if you have time, to go into Access Now's website. This is a big NGO who works on digital rights. When I was working at the Burbank Client Center, we handed out a very good report that has to do with persecution against the digital security researchers. And we analyzed the situation in 4 countries: Mexico, Ecuador, Argentina, and Colombia. And it's very important because it shows why we should also call like for anonymity and like better rules, and not to be using the law in order to persecute some people because of like because we don't know, we don't identify what they are doing just because they are experts on engineering, and they might be trying like to find some glitches or something that has not been working properly on computing system, and they could be thought as of hackers or people who want to cause some damage. So I'll leave it here. I think that we have like some questions.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Fernanda. This has been very informative and very interesting. You have shared very important information with us. So thank you. And yes, we do have some questions. So I will leave the floor to my colleague Mabel Martinez, and she will be sharing with you the questions from our audience.
Thank you, Edith, and thank you everyone who is watching this interesting session. Thank you, Fernanda, for this talk about gender digital gap and start creating this awareness around this topic. Um, One of the first questions that we received was, what do you think companies are lacking when they address a report about digital violence?
Okay, so that's a very interesting but complicated question to answer. Of course, each platform works in a different way, but they do all share that they have like these community norms. So a problem that it's not only that it's not only related to digital violence, but like in general with content moderation is how many of these reports are reviewed by women, by humans. Most of them are not. Most of the content moderation, especially from these big companies, is done through algorithms. And for instance, it's very common that if you write like a bad word, or I don't know, you could say like men are trash or something different, like the algorithms will identify it directly and they will take it down. But when it's something like more complex, of course, it's not only like whether the algorithm identifies it or not, but the time, because of the amount of posts that are being sent like every second, the millions of posts of all the people around the world, it's the time sometimes that it takes in order to identify that there's a huge situation going on. And of course, this is not like to say, hey, poor companies, but like to understand how difficult it is like to deal with such an amount of information like every minute. So I would say that they need to continue working on their algorithms. They also need to have um, bigger and better content moderation teams, and also try to rethink the way um, they moderate the content that is being posted by third people.
Thank you, Fernanda. And yeah, that I understand that can be a little bit complicated. We have another question. Should Mexicans women work in some international groups with same problems? How to interest the authorities with the current international economic conditions?
Okay, so I would like trying to understand the question will be like other groups that are interested in some problems that the country experiences, for sure. Um, what I was thinking about, well, what do we need to think about when we talk about diversity and pluralism and multidisciplinary groups is the idea that the more we are taking different visions into consideration, the way that as long as we are like working with people from different areas and who can share their own experiences and talk about what they already know or have worked with, it will make the discussion better. It will come up with different solutions, and it will allow us to think from other perspectives what can be done in other countries and of course in our country. How to call the authorities' attention? I would say most of the time, of course, we need like some endorsement from other entities. It doesn't need to be to come like from the UN or like these other international organizations, but we also need like to have like a very good and structured like plan, like what we're looking for, and like these are the benefits, and maybe like go beyond and say if we do not start doing this that we call for, it might have like these bad consequences. Sometimes it's also good like to make contact with some other like NGOs from the region or from the area who can be working on some topic, and most of them, they know each other, and they can also help us like build these bridges that I was talking about, to at least like try to bring this topic into the public discussion, and then from them like calling for politicians support maybe, or trying like to find some other stakeholders.
Thank you, Fernanda. And we have another question more related to your experience as a student. Do you think that nowadays women in this area of study have an equal treatment in their classes, or do you think it still exists a bias from the faculty and professors?
Okay, so this might be a little bit biased, because as you heard, I study law, I studied a social science, so I wouldn't have like the enough elements like to warranty or ensure that this is happening, but like based on my knowledge in general of like education and biases against girls and women, I would say that women are still being treated differently, most of the times based on stereotypes and gender roles. And we see these like very often. Like, I don't think it's the case of like the National Autonomous University, but I know that of course there are more men than women studying at these kind of careers, for example. So there's when you see the difference. You also know that, I don't know, like at the Faculty of Sciences at UNAM, also there are like quite a few like women studying, I don't know, like physics or math. Most of them are men. So this might, of course, be first the problem of like there are not enough women like studying this, but also like those women who are studying there who were lucky or like had the chance to start studying an engineering or physics, math, whatever. It might be the case that the professors, because they are not used like to see a lot of women in these areas, they might think still that they are not capable of doing the same as their male colleagues. So it might happen. I think that it's something that it's not uniquely like from these areas. It also happens in law schools, but we need like to think how we can tackle these stereotypes that are in the end are the ones that are causing that people think that we are not capable of thinking and doing and designing the same as men.
Perfect. And one last question before we wrap up this session. And regarding your experience in the United States as a student there, how was your experience? How was your experience there, and how did you get interested in this field of study?
Okay, so before, well, when I was like applying to the Fulbright scholarship, I was still like deciding whether I should like focus my graduate studies on sexual and reproductive rights or tech. And then I thought that tech was a bigger and unexplored area in Mexico. And especially like this intersection between gender and tech was like more specialized. That's how I decided like to get into this. Harvard has like very good professors that have to do like with freedom of expression and like technology, cyber law. So that's what I chose Harvard, and it has like the Berman Klein Center. I was part of the cyber law clinic, which allowed me also like to get this professional experience that I lacked. Because even though that like I'm passionate about technology, I hadn't had the chance to work professionally on these topics. It was all on like through activism or like my spare time, but not on a formal job, as I would say. And well, working there gave me a lot of abilities. I was like very shy about talking in public in English. It also enhanced my writing skills while doing like the reports that we prepared, leading the meetings with clients. And also it gave me another perception about like how these topics are being discussed in the US or even in Europe. And it also, I think that I learned that even though that I was like very nervous about like, you know, how why the Juris Doctors, which are like the JDs, the US lawyers, whether they were better than me or not, like gaining that confidence and like knowing that even though that I was not a native speaker, but that that I could exactly do the same as them, and that even like my previous experience from working here in Mexico was important and was an asset to the team, was like really comforting for me and like helped me to deal with this like imposter syndrome that some people usually like live with. Yeah.
Thank you, Fernanda. And that were all the questions that that we received. So thank you very much for that. And with that, I'm gonna give the floor again to Edith.
Thank you very much, Mabel. And thank you very much, Fernanda, for your participation. We really appreciate all of the information that you gave us. And I do want to thank you also for becoming one of those roles, model roles that nowadays women need, and most important, children need. So we really appreciate all of the work that you have done. And we really appreciate that you are sharing your experience with us and trying to inspire girls to continue and follow this path too. So thank you very much. So, well, now we will just have a small break to the audience that is now with us. You can take this small break. We will take only 2 or 3 minutes from your time, and we will continue with the conversation that is called Opportunities and Challenges for Women in STEM. As Fernanda already mentioned, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So please don't leave. We see you in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone. And for the ones that are just joining us, remember that we have that this session will be held in English, but we have a Spanish translation. You just have to click on the icon of interpretation and choose Spanish, and you will hear everything in Spanish. So, my name is Edith Melendez. I'm the Education USA Advisor for San Luis Potosí and Querétaro, and I will be moderating the conversation now with our two guests, Anaíris de la Cruz and Brianda Gonzalez. The topic of this conversation is opportunities and challenges for women in science, technology, engineering, and math. This is best known as STEM in English. So let me tell you a little bit of information about our guest speakers. Anaíris de la Cruz Benito, she is a math education student at Florida State University, and she is also a Fulbright Garcia Robles grantee for the STEM Regional. Anaíris is a Mexican indigenous who studied her undergraduate and master's program in mathematics education at Universidad Autónoma de Guerrero. She received a CONACYT scholarship during her master's studies. With the support of CONACYT, she attended national and international conferences where she presented her research work, as well as she completed a research stay at Universidad de Valencia in Spain. She worked a year as a middle school mathematics teacher in Mexico, and now she's currently a Fulbright scholar studying her doctoral program in mathematics education at Florida State University. And she also works as a graduate research assistant at the Learning Systems Institute. Welcome, Anaíris. And we also want to welcome Brianda Gonzalez. She is a food science and technology student at Ohio State University, and she is also an Opportunity Funds grantee. Brianda Daniela Gonzalez Orozco, originally from Querétaro, is an Opportunity Funds alumna. She is currently in her second year of PhD in food science and technology at The Ohio State University. She has a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering with a specialization in food chemistry, and she pursued her master's also in food science, both degrees at the Universidad Autónoma de Querétaro. So thank you very much, Anaíris and Brianda. It's a pleasure to have you here today with us.
Hi, Edith. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Anaïris. And
Hello.
Hello, Brianda. Well, I will start with this conversation with the first question. Please feel free to answer what you consider is the most important, okay? So I will start by asking, why did you choose to study a program in STEM?
I would like to start. In my case, it's like I started liking mathematics when I was pretty young, and a big part of it, I owe it to my middle school math teacher. I realized that math was my favorite course. I enjoy it, and that I was good at solving math problems. And I was like, oh, I guess this is what I'm good at. And I just felt that in that moment, like, this is what I want to study. And that was, like the main thing that make me like choose a STEM career. How about you, Brenda?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know I like maths and chemistry until my last year of high school. I never liked them, although I know I was good with them. So I said, okay, let's do this. And after that, I really liked chemistry and also food science, because I think it has a lot of relevance. Now, it always has, but nowadays that we have population increase, like we don't have a lot of resources, so we need to come up with ways to feed an increasing population. So I think it's very relevant to do research in this particular area. Yeah,
Totally agree with that.
Thank you. I would also like to ask you, which are the main obstacles women have to face when they choose this STEM path? And if you want to also share with us, how have you overcome them? How have you overcome those obstacles?
Well, I guess like some of the main obstacle is, like just to deal with that idea that women don't have the ability to succeed in STEM careers, because it is believed that, like these STEM careers are mostly for men or more appropriate for men. And so I think that idea, like we need to get out the idea of our mind and just like believe that we also are capable of doing those things, and do not allow like that mindset to underestimate our ability. I think about myself like back in that time, and I was realizing that most of my classmates, they were men, and it was just like few women. And then like some of the women start leaving the math career, and it feels like so weird. And I was like, oh, this is like it's just not easy. And I wasn't feeling like supported. Like I just feeling one kind of lonely in the path, like just seeing more like male and just few females. I think that is one thing that might cause like some women to leave STEM careers because of that. And so I wanted to share like some of the ways that help me to overcome the obstacles. And one of the things that I did, and I still do nowadays, is that I created my group of people, like of women, and we studied together. We just like to do study sessions together. We'll discuss and try to solve the problems together, and we just like support each other. Like if someone does not understand or was having problems, the other one will be able to support it. We'll hang out together and just like cheer up, each other. And that was really helpful. And another thing that I remember is that I was always trying to be with someone smarter than me, like someone who was like one step ahead of me. So I can have that person who can help me like when I need it, or that person I can ask to. And I still like friend with this person. Like I will always ask her when I don't understand something, and she will be like so happy to explain me. And that was like definitely a big like thing that makes me feel like I had somebody to count out, like somebody. I was not like just myself in that area, in the math program. And also just like look for help with my professors. And I think this is some of the things that I remember the most. And I wanted to hear about Brianna, like how was your experience in this?
Well, I agree with you. First of all, it's your own mind, right? That you are afraid sometimes even to ask questions in class.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
lot of the obstacles, you put them in your own mind. And then I think one of the things is not only as a woman, but also as someone that it's not from here, like I'm a Mexican girl or Latin American girl, is that you have to learn everything again. In terms of chemistry, for example, I knew already the amino acids names. Now I have to learn them all over again. A lot of things like that are not related with with how to be a woman. It's how to have a good performance in the classes, because there's a lot of pressure. That's true. Among all of them a lot of them are men, but also there are very well prepared women. So you need to be in the same level. So to do that, you need to work even harder. So yeah, I think this is some of the main obstacles that I face, like that you need to work more, for sure. Yeah.
I totally relate to that, Brenda. Like when you say we had to learn things again, that now that I'm doing my PhD, it's like I know these things in Spanish, but I don't know how to say in English, and that I have to study them again. And also like just this idea, like, oh, I had to be as good as they are. And it takes me like double or triple time to do the same things. And it's just like really hard. And it makes me think like, oh, when I talk to my peers, it's like they already did this or they do it in 1 hour, and I'm spending like 3 or 4 hours doing the same thing. So those kind of things is like really hard to deal with. But like as I was talking again, like, and I still do it. I do study session with some girls, and that cheered me up. It made me feel better.
So I think that helped you a lot to also develop your time management skills even more, right?
Right. Yeah. That's true. You learn from others how to do that. That is a big thing. We also have like to learn how to like manage our time, because there are so many things to do.
And also that learning that this is a difficult it's a difficult area, so you're probably going to sacrifice some time with friends, time with family. You are not at home, but at the end it's worth it. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's worth it. Okay, thank you. My next question will be, what is the importance of empowering women to take the STEM path?
Well, I think something very important is that we, as they were saying before, there are not a lot of women in these areas, and I think one of the main reasons is not because we are not capable of that. It's because we are a little bit afraid of having to study these specific things. I think we have all the capacity to do that, but we need to overcome the fear of being bad at math or being bad at chemistry or being bad at these areas that for so long they were for men only. So I think we need to also be willing to sacrifice things to, I mean, we know these careers are difficult. You will require more time. Probably you won't have a lot of things that other girls will have in other careers, but if you are willing to do that, and you can succeed in these type of careers. But first of all, we need to learn that if we want to break the gap, we need to start studying this kind of careers first of all. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brianda. Like I also think about it, and when I talk to people, like, and I said I study math, people start like, oh, you're so smart and this kind of things. I'm like, no, I'm not. I just work hard and I just like them. And honestly, like I was like, I'm not good at math, but I like it. And that makes me feel like keep, working on it. And so I wonder like other people, like to know this, like if they like it, that might be enough. You don't have to be like that, like very smart and to can study a STEM career like area. You can definitely do it like if you want. So I think it's important for women to believe that they have the capacity and ability to work in any area. And so those STEM areas like are in demand in the market, like because as you were mentioning, Brianda, like due to the low number of people like who study these areas, companies are seeking with people with these profiles. Like I get a lot of the times like people looking for help like with math and things like this. And so I was like, oh, I wonder like there are more people like studying STEM areas. And so yeah, like this another good thing is like for somebody who study a STEM like career is like they have a high possibility to find a job like in the market. It's just because of the same reason that we're mentioning, because we are not like that many. So we really like need more women to join to the STEM career area. And yeah, I think those are some of the reasons. And also I was thinking about it, and also when you apply say for a scholarship or for an internship and other things, I think you have like a more more probability to get in because of your STEM profile. And I think about it, and just is because of the low number of it. I don't know, like what do you think, Brenda? It's like at least it makes me think about like when I applied to Fulbright, for instance. And I was like, maybe there were not that many people in STEM area, or it was
even in Mexico, for example, CONACYT has this, in my master's degree, they pay me for studying because I was in one of these areas. So yeah, there are a lot of scholarship support for this kind of areas that we are not using as women. Yeah, I don't know. We need to be more in these areas for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Like now that you said it, I also think about it, and I was like, I was like getting my payment for study, something that I really like when I was doing my master from CONACYT. And honestly, that was like the thing that changed my life. I was able to go to international conference, and I was able to do a research stay in Spain in my master. And for sure that was like the base things that helped me also to apply for Fulbright Garcia Robles scholarship. So there are so many opportunities out there for women who study like STEM career area.
Brianda, I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit more about opportunities. Something else that comes to your mind about that?
Opportunities for women in STEM areas.
In these areas?
Yeah,
also, Joanna, feel free.
Yeah. I think for us, it's, as Sanaris was saying, it's easier to get scholarships, grants to be accepted in universities in the USA, because if you have a good background in these areas, this is what they are looking for, because at the end, a lot of the things we do now, I mean, the technologies, they are related with these STEM areas. So there are a lot of also grants here in the USA. I just applied for one that it's based on women in STEM. So basically they just pay you, if you win the grant, just pay you to keep studying, keep doing your things, because they know you need sometimes a little bit of extra support or motivation. So yeah, it's great. You have a lot of opportunities. It's an areas was saying that not a lot of people do. So you will also have more probabilities to find a job here or in other parts. And everything, it's basically you can get scholarships, you can travel for free because you are in this type of area. So yeah, definitely that's a good point. That's, yeah, a good thing that we need to know. Like, there are a lot of opportunities we are not taking advantage of just because there are not enough women in these areas.
Yeah, Brianna, I just want to, like, you brought out a good point about it, like keeping women in STEM. I think that is the thing. Like, we sometimes like really worry about, like, we wanted to get more women, of course, that's a thing, like we know that, but also we need like to work on that part of like keeping the women that are already in the STEM career. And as you were saying, like this, like, for example, the grant that you got, it's just like, oh, they just want me to stay there, like to keep in there, because they know like it's not easy, like honestly, but it's something, like we enjoy doing, like, and as we already mentioned it, there are so many opportunities, and there are like so many people like willing to, like to help us to continue in this path.
Yeah.
So we will say it's not easy, but it's not impossible. And you're not alone, right? Women are not alone in this area. Maybe you cannot see a lot of women here, but you can find many different opportunities to keep the women that are already in here to continue doing what you're doing. Okay, great. Something that I will also like to know, which skills do you consider women have to develop in order to study and grow professionally in this STEM area, in this STEM path?
I would say that some of the skills are, like to think logically, critical, and to learn to use technology. which is very helpful. I find myself like still learning about technology all the time. And like solving problems, the skill of solving problems, think out of the box, and consider what might happen if these things look different, like like different options. Just I would say like just like have an open mindset, that problems could be solved in different ways, and that apply in school and also in life, which is like helpful to like for us to keep like fighting and find ourselves like being success in this STEM area. And patience, the skill. We some of the times like we might try over and over again until we get it. And I don't know, that I think that's some of the skills that I can think of right now. What about you, Brianda?
I will say discipline too. Yeah, that's very important, I think, because a lot of the things we do every day require a lot of discipline. Like as you said, Edith, manage your own time, have a routine. These type of things are very important if you want to succeed in this area. Like, yeah, consistency, perseverance. Yeah, you need to stay there. Maybe you didn't have a good day in the lab, something didn't work. Okay, tomorrow I will try again. So yeah, you have to be patient, and very disciplined, because this is a long path and it's not gonna be easy. But if you have your goals very clear in your mind, you can achieve everything you want. Just you need to develop this. I don't think you need very specific, like Ainari said, you don't need to be super smart or the genius of your classroom. I mean, you just need to be disciplined, because a lot of things that if you don't know something, you can learn even from yourself. You don't need to go to class sometimes. You can just Google something and you will find it. So yeah, sometimes it's just study a lot, be very disciplined, very perseverant, and you can achieve whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, Brianna, yeah, that's totally true. I'm listening to you related. I'm like, yeah, this is what I do every day, the same thing. And time management, like first thing that I do on the weekend is like plan my whole week, and I have my agenda and I write every day what I need to do in the day. Otherwise, the time like going so fast that I'm not like getting to do this. And as you were saying, we already mentioned it, like don't be afraid, like you don't need special skills. You don't need to be like that smart to start a STEM career. All you need is just like, to be a hardworking person, perseverant, and try and do the same things, because it's like mostly same things over and over again.
Yeah.
And you work little by little, and sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm not making any progress, but you're really doing. You see it by the end of the week, by the end of the month, and some of the days might not be good, as Brianda just said. Like, I've related to that so many times. But then it's next day, you start again, you have more opportunities to do it and do it better and try it again. So I agree with you that these are some of the skills we need for this area.
And I think all of those skills that maybe sometimes you polish during your studies help you when you become a professional, once that you finish your studies, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you might like, think that you are good at something, but you still, as you were saying, like polish it little by little, time by the time, and you get better at it. And there are some of the things I find myself like, this is something I start my new day and I don't know what I'm going to do. Like it is something new, and I was like, oh my God, I need to learn. But just as Brianda said, like sometimes you can just Google, you can ask somebody, like as a more experienced person than you, like, hey, how do I do this? It's just like asking. And I found that is one of the important things that has like helped me a lot. When I came here, I was so afraid, like to ask things, and I was like, "What do they think if I ask this like little thing? They might think like, how come she doesn't know this?" But then after I asked, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna ask everything I know because I have no time to figure it out myself." This kind of thing. So it's just like there are always people out there that can help you. There are always like somebody you can, like count off and ask for help or whatever you need to continue.
I think this relates with what Juan Manuel is asking, like what other resources are. Also, I think, for example, I join a club in my department, so I get to know new people, to know about them. So now, if I have questions, I can reach out to them, that they have more experience in the area, they've been there for more time. So yeah, it's build yourself like a group of people you trust and ask questions, even to your advisors, even to the professors. Don't be afraid to ask questions. This is very important. They are not gonna judge you. It's worse not to ask. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I find myself doing that all the time. I do study session with people who are like ahead of me and have like gone through what I'm going now. So they give me advice on what I need to do. And as you were saying, also like talk to your advisor, talk to the professor, send an email and ask. That can be like the solution to many things.
Asking. Great.
Asking,
Okay.
exactly.
Well, now could you both tell us a little bit about how your studies in the United States have helped you in your professional career? What advantages can you tell us about, or I don't know, what do you think? You have been in both sides. You have been studying in Mexico, and I think you had some opportunity to do some professional career, professional life in here in Mexico. Then you had the opportunity, or you are having the opportunity to study in the United States. You have been in both sides. How could you say, or what could you say your studies in the United States are doing for you in your professional career?
I think from my point of view that, for example, here I have more resources in terms of, most of my work is in the lab. So sometimes I need a lot of reagents, very expensive equipment, very expensive analysis. So here I have the opportunity to have funds to do that. In Mexico, sometimes you are a little bit short on resources, so you cannot spend a lot of money in things that you need to do for your research. So here, that's a big advantage. You have a lot of resources, they support a lot of the research, so you don't have to worry about that. In terms of the laboratory work. And other things is that you have the advantage of being in classes with very high qualified professors, also in Mexico, but here you have more people from different areas, from different countries, that can give you a lot of what they've learned. And that's very important. It's a very multicultural place, so you can learn a lot from your professors and also from your peers here, because you have people from all over the world that maybe have a different type of education, so you can learn a lot from them too. And yeah, of course, the level of research that we do sometimes here, yeah, I can say sometimes it's more strict, more difficult too. But I think that you can get better results too. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, like studying in the United States, it's literally the gate of opportunities, because as Brianda said, you get to know people from all over the world. And so this is allowing me to do a network with all these people, and we will talk and share about, like opportunities, but your opportunities like internship, fellowship, scholarship. They all share like this information. You get to know about like so many things that are going on that you wouldn't be able to do, like, I don't know, like thinking about if I'm in Mexico, I wouldn't be able like to doing this network with all these people from different countries. And also, yeah, I agree that we have availability to all these resources. Like everything we need is there. There's like some spaces, like big spaces. We have our office space. We have these big like libraries. We can borrow books. We can order books online. Like we can ask them if they don't have it, they will find it for you to other universities if you need it. So there is no excuse. You said I don't have access to this. Like you always have it. Just like this opportunity to have access to all the research articles and take classes, you know, like with people from other countries, like with different background. It really like gave you a better perspective, give a perspective of what the education looks like, or what is like it looks like to be like preparing the future, like thinking about they are preparing us for the job we're gonna do in the future. And you are learning a lot from all these people because you interact with them every day. And in the US, like the system, it's like you really talk with your peers. So in all the classes, like you're talking with all the people and you get to know a lot about others. And yeah, like some, I also have the opportunity, you know, like to see all the research that all these professors here in Florida State University are doing. And I think about it because as you were saying, like Edith, we also had the opportunity, we studied in Mexico and now we are here. So we know how it looks like there and now we see it here. And, you know, we already like put all those experiences together, like just to do our best and just getting prepared.
And also, I think we need to stop thinking that we are not prepared enough because we come from not a US university. That's not true. We are very well prepared in our universities, in our public universities. So yeah, when you see how much you know when you come here and you compare yourself with your peers, you are in the same level, basically. So yeah, we need to stop being afraid of that. Yeah, we are very well prepared. Our universities in Mexico are great. Yeah, we have our problems of resources and everything, but we receive very good education. So yeah, we can compete here very well. Yeah.
I love that, Brenda. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, we should like, you know, set on that mindset that we are well prepared, we are enough. And that is why we're here, like, you know, studying with all these people. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And yeah, we have we can be very well prepared everywhere, I think. Okay, but we need to take advantage of the things and the different opportunities that we have where we have it, and we can go to other places to break these stereotypes that we may have. Okay, so great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I think it is time to listen from our audience. So I'm going to leave the floor to Mabel. She's going to share with you some of the questions that she has been receiving in the Q&A feature and also in other channels that we have our public with us.
That's great.
Go ahead.
Hi again, and thank you very much for this interesting conversation, Anaitis and Brianda. It's
Mabel.
really inspiring. I have a question addressed to Anaitis, but I think Brianda, you can also add some information if you consider if you consider it important. Anaitis, mention a study group with other women. What other specific resources have you been able to find in your institution or in the community around to support you specifically as women in a STEM area?
Sure. Yeah, like when I mentioned about like study sessions, which is I said it was something I was doing in Mexico and I keep practicing here. I think other resources is you know, like I love to go to the lab, I mean to the library and see like how many women are there. When I go there and I see like all these girls studying, it makes me feel empowered. It makes me feel like I'm not alone in this process. And just like I like to walk by all the book shelf, and I see like, oh, there is a lot, like this means a lot of people are studying that. And I really like to get inspired by like role model people that like really like make me feel that things are possible and show me that they have done it and they are doing great things in STEM area. I like to like to talk to them if possible. Like I always like try to make contact with them and ask them any question that I might have. And I sometimes feel like it's really hard and that I'm not gonna make it. I can't continue or things like that. And talking to these people, it's like really inspiring. And I find it like one of the things that help me to keep going. And what other resources can I say? I think like Brianda was saying, like just like have this opportunity of seeing that there is like help out there. Like some people like are willing to help you to continue doing what you're doing. It's really like it makes me feel supported in some ways. Yeah, I don't know if that the question was like going through that towards that direction or.
Yeah, I think the question was aimed to that purpose. I'm not sure, Brianda, if you have found some other resources that you want to share that support women in this specific area.
Not really. I think Ineris already mentioned a lot of them. It's basically surround yourself with women and with people that support you. And yeah, look for grants, look for scholarships. That's good. There are a lot of opportunities there. You need just to find them. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Also, we have another question. I think Brianda already answered, but I would like to say it out loud just to everyone can hear the answer. Lucia says, now I'm studying an engineering major, but the teachers have told us that women must have to be more prepared than men because they said people could try to make us fail as women. This is an obstacle you have seen, and if that has happened, what can we as women do about that?
First, I would say, do not listen to that. That's not true. Like you are able to do things. I think maybe your teacher told you this. It's just because of we're believe that men are better than women in STEM areas. And so maybe that's why she said like, oh, you gotta work harder. So if you wanna be at the same level like they are. But honestly, you have that same ability, the same capacity of do like all the things they do. And some of the things you can do, like I don't know if that like helpful, as I was mentioning, like some of the things I did is like study with other, like be surrounded by people, by women who are like also in that area, in the STEM area, and look at people who have done like great things in STEM area, and just like see that as an opportunity. Like that means you are able to do things too. You are like not, you don't underestimate yourself. You can definitely do it. And if you have to work harder, like do it for yourself. Of course, like we were mentioning, like we need to work harder in this like area. And just because we're learning like day by day, more and more. And as soon as you like start doing it, then you can stop. You want to learn more and more. And yeah, you can definitely do it. And I believe that if you say that is like insane, just like to make you like be good and know like to be there.
Thank you, Anairis. And Brianda, she typed the answer, but do you want to say it out loud?
Yeah, basically same. Not really. I think you need to work and prepare yourself as hard as you can, and that's all. Don't compare yourself with other women or men. Just do whatever you can to be well prepared. And professors will, I don't know, will be harsh on you if you are men or women and you are unprepared, regardless of if you are men or women. I mean, you need to be prepared. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you. I have two more questions there. One of them is addressed to Ana Iris, and it has to be with, you mentioned you are an indigenous, and how did you learn English? Because this resource is not that common, especially in this type of communities in Mexico. How do you suggest to start encouraging women that have this important aspect in their life?
Yeah, right. Well, I am from Cochuapa in Guerrero State, which is an indigenous community. And I thought that because I speak Spanish, I could communicate with everyone like that. This was my mindset because my whole life I was living in my town. So I couldn't see like more than this. And honestly, when I went to do my research stay in Spain, that was a thing that changed my mindset. And I wish, like, we all know this. I didn't know it, but by that time, that was the thing that made me study English. I remember that I met a person who like who is from Germany. He was living there doing his PhD, and I was like talking to him, and I said, "Hey, like I would like to do a PhD in the future. What do you think I need?" And he said, like, first thing you need is to study English. So I like really like highly recommend like to everyone to start like learning English as soon as they can. And so when I went back to Mexico in 2015, I started, like looking for English courses. And with my savings that I have from my CONACYT scholarship from my master, I was like, I really need to invest my money in something that it will like be helpful to me in the future. So I started looking, for English schools, and I started learning by myself, like watching YouTube videos and going to the school. And yeah, that was the moment I realized like I really need to learn English, and this is how it happened.
Thank you, Ana Iris. And the last question addressed to both of you is about your role model. Do you have a role model? Brianda, do you want to start maybe?
Not really. Yeah, a lot of successful women inspire me, but I cannot say like I have a role model or something. Yeah, I just want to be good in what I do, and yeah, be proud of myself. That's all. Yeah,
That's perfect. Honestly, like in my side, I do have role models, so many people, and I keep inspired, like just thinking about them and seeing them. And some of them, like one of them is my academic advisor. She's like have done great things in mathematics education, and I see her and I'm like, she's a woman, like I'm a woman, I can do these things. Like I talk to her, I meet her every week because, as I said, she is my advisor, and it's just so inspiring to talk to her every time. And honestly, that's helpful, like for me to keep going. There's also one of my professor, I'm taking a class with her, just like attending her class, or reading some of the work she has done. Like I read the research articles, the work they have done, and I'm like, how come? Like they have done great things. I would like to be like them. And so many other professors also in Mexico. The professor in Spain that I did the research stay with when I was there, he was my inspiration to do a PhD in mathematics education. and I keep like following his work, what he's doing. We recently met in a conference, in a mathematics education conference, and it was like I was the happiest one, like to saw him there, and like I was presenting my work too. So yeah, honestly, I do have role models, and just keep being like following what they're doing. It's really helpful. It's really motivating to me.
Thank you, Brianda and Anais, and hopefully you will be role models at some point of someone. And one last question, will you be able to share, is there a way that the audience can contact both of you? Is there like an email address that you can share, or maybe LinkedIn, something that you want to share?
Absolutely, yeah. I can share my emails accounts as
Yeah,
well.
you can type it on the chat, and then the audience can take it from there.
Share on the chat. I'm also kind of like active on my social media, and I share about opportunities, like how to like get to know about the scholarship and how to apply and all this kind of thing. So you could share that too. Do I have access to the
Excellent.
chat? Okay.
Excellent. I have here Brianda's information, and then I think,
Yeah, I'm typing mine.
yes. So those were all the questions that I received. Thank you very much, both of you, for this encouraging and useful conversation. And I will go back with Edith.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much again, Anais and Brianda. And well, before we let you go, let me tell you just something very important. Remember that tomorrow we finish this forum that has been held during these 3 days. So please be prepared, because tomorrow we're going to be here sharing more important information with you. We will have another set of very good speakers, so please join us tomorrow. And well, Anais and Brianda, thank you very much for having been here today with us, sharing your experiences, sharing your advices, encouraging more women to pursue this path of STEM. And well, thank you everyone. Thanks to all of the audience for being here today. We hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Thank you
Goodbye.
very much. It was an honor to be here. Bye.